Senator Heinrich, first of all, thank you for all the work that you have done for the Southwest Chief for Raton. And you know it's a vital part and that it will that you're proposing to continue, but how close is the deal really to being done?
Well, we were able to successfully get language in the Senate Transportation Bill that requires Amtrak to continuing to run the Southwest Chief and puts $50 million of real money into these track upgrades, which is what they have said that they need to be able to continue to run this route. So we're calling their bluff. We're pushing on the House to accept that language into their in conference, and we're not going to take no for an answer.
The voters are also taxpayers, and they have sent you guys to Congress to get things done. What does Martin Heinrich plan to do on the issues of immigration? And of course, I know healthcare is one of your big issues as well. What do you plan on doing coming up?
Well, we still have a good bipartisan coalition on immigration. We've stumbled a little bit with the White House. A couple times we've had a deal where they said yes, and then 4 hours later they sort of backed out. We're not going to give up. We have to get this done. We have a broken immigration system, and we can fix it and make sure that we have security in our border communities as well, and we're going to keep pushing on that front. On the healthcare front, we really need to be focused on rural America right now, because many of the proposals that we're seeing would undercut the very things that are financing the foundation of rural hospitals across New Mexico and in much of the country. And I am focused on, like a laser beam, on making sure that nothing we do in Washington undercuts the ability of rural hospitals to continue to operate.
Any progress or any work in the direction of getting doctors and nurses to the rural hospitals?
Right now we're trying to make sure that the payment system doesn't get cut. But I think that is a key question of how do we make sure we have programs that actually incentivize folks coming out of medical school to go and spend their time in those communities, and then they stay in those communities because they learn that they really love them. And that should be a focus as well.
Back to border. New Mexico is one of those border states. We've got small communities that are at times being overrun, and of course the criminal activity there. And I know that's one of the things. Do we plan on increasing border patrol personnel, as well as maybe even, once again, we've brought in the National Guard, but do we plan on keeping them or just expand and get them out?
I'm going to disagree a little bit with your characterization, because if you go and talk to the people in Deming, you go and talk to the people in Columbus, you go and talk to the people in Mesilla, they're very serious about border security, but they're also some of the safest, most vibrant, economic, the healthy communities that you're going to find, and that's true across our entire southwest border. So I think it's really important to put forward a narrative about those border communities that really reflects the vibrancy that goes on there, and work with them, asking local Border Patrol agents, the people in those communities, the local elected leaders, what actually works along here, instead of having people from Iowa dictating what's actually going to work in southern New Mexico.
That's always been a big thing for southern New Mexico and Arizona and Texas, is somebody from New York saying you need to do this, and it doesn't work.
Like the Southwest Chief. I mean, this was an idea that got hatched in a office in Washington, D.C. Without any real input from New Mexico and Colorado and Kansas.
Coming up, you're up for re-election again this year, and we'll have another 6 years in Congress. What do we really need to focus on as a senator to make New Mexico, to bring it kind of out of the doldrums? Because I know one of the things is that a lot of people want to see that right to work law in New Mexico, and a lot of people have said that is what is hanging New Mexico back. What do you plan to do in that direction?
Well, I disagree. I grew up in a union household, and the reason why I have a good college education is because my father had a good union wage. I think we need to invest in education and infrastructure. We need to build the kind of infrastructure that attracts private sector investment, and we need the kind of educated workforce that also brings investment into our state. That starts with early childhood education, but it also means affordable college education. We have too many people in this state today thinking about whether they should send their kids to college because of the debt burden that can create. We should never be in that position, and we need to make college more affordable again.
Do you think that we need to improve in the high school education, such as hands-on training, industrial training, and stuff like that?
We should. That is exactly right, and we should have a pipeline of apprenticeships that starts in high school and goes all the way through technical vocational education to a job. It may not even involve a degree, but it goes directly into a well-paid job in the state. That is a pipeline that we have not always nurtured well. And I have legislation with Cory Gardner up in Colorado to do just that, and we have a bipartisan group in the House that is introducing the same legislation. And that is a big part of how we build a more vibrant middle class in this country, is making sure we mind the skills gap for all across this country.
Okay, thank you, Senator.
Thanks for having me.